Welcome back to Moonshots MLB. I am Mike, and what we're going to cover down today are the lineups page, the lineups history page, which is something that we just rolled out a week or two ago. It's pretty new, pretty cool. It's going to have some new things on that, so we'll show that here in a moment. And then batting order metrics, which is something that we rolled out last year, where you can easily see based on the lineup order or position that a batter batted in, the stats or metrics for that particular slot in the batting order. So with that said, let's just dive in. Most of you are aware of the lineups page. This has typically been our landing page, so when you log into the site, this is normally where you would first land. For you folks that are using your phones for the site, this is likely the page that you use the most. It's obviously the most mobile friendly page on the site. It does look pretty nice and pretty cool in mobile view. Maybe I'll show that here real quick before we dive into some other things, so you can kind of see how it lays out pretty cool. Dark mode's also pretty slick on the mobile version as well. So here, that refreshes here in a moment. Click that in. Slowly but surely, there we go. All right, so lineups on the go. Kind of getting back to the desktop view here. We'll, like we have in the other videos, we'll kind of run through kind of left to right, top to bottom, and kind of flow through the page itself, explain a few things. So across the top, we've got this, I guess it's a game ribbon, for lack of a better term. This was really showcased in the previous video. That is the link. It's like, the game pill, which takes you to the matchup splits page, where you can see the pitcher versus the lineup for that particular game. So it's just really a hyperlink. Now this lineup, I guess, link here is a quick auto scroll to the lineup on this particular page. So if I want to quickly get to the Cubs Mets lineup, I can click that. It's going to auto scroll me down to it, so you don't have to kind of scroll through and look for it. You can just quickly jump right to it. If you are down towards the bottom, which I am here, you can hit this arrow. The up arrow takes you back up to the top of the page. So just easy, quick navigation on the page. If you're scrolling to the bottom, it's easy to get back to the top, whatnot. Highlighting, you can toggle the conditional highlighting on and off. A point I'll make here is this toggle not only affects just the lineups page, but it affects most of the other pages on the site too. Not everything's hooked up to that. I'll get around to that at some point. It's kind of taken a low priority amongst a bunch of other things, of course. But my goal and plan here is, once you have the highlighting turned off on one page, it's turned off on all pages. Some people just don't like the greens and the reds, and that's fine. I understand. So maybe just kind of bear with me for a while for those pages that aren't really hooked up to that setting just yet. So I did just untoggle that, and you can see on the lineups page I'm without that conditional formatting, or conditional highlighting. Turn it back on, and kind of moving through the lineup here. So each of these cards, now I have a drop down selector here too, so I can pick a slate if I want to see 4-game DraftKings slate. Here's my 4 games for that particular slate. The ribbon's also filtered down to those respective games. Okay, so going through the card here, I'll come back to these links here in a moment, because these are the other 2 things that I'm going to cover on this particular breakout video. So we'll get through the lineup here, and we'll circle back to those links. So we have the Orioles at Nationals, pretty self-explanatory where it's at, umpire, the 3-hour weather window. And then what we have here is the away lineup with the home pitcher. I was hesitant on how I wanted to design this initially. I did make it so that we have, the away lineup and the pitcher they're facing kind of in the same view, the same, side of the card here, because it's, for me, hopefully for everyone, and certainly hopefully for at least a lot of you, that this is just kind of easy to look at when you're looking for like the reds and greens, doing a compare, on K rate, for example. It's just kind of easy to kind of, go down the line with your eye when you're kind of eyeballing these. versus having, the away team with the away pitcher here and the home team with the home pitcher here. Then you kind of cross referencing things. If there's some of you out there that don't like this and you would rather see the away pitcher, away team, home pitcher, home team, reach out to me, send me a message, hit me up on Twitter, email me at support@moonshotsmlb.com, and kind of express your desires to have that, and I'll put in a user setting so that you can pick and choose how you want that to be displayed on here. So I kind of get it that it's could be kind of weird or difficult for some people. I think it makes sense. I like it like this. Hopefully you do as well. So the rest of this is pretty self-explanatory when it comes like the splits. We've covered some of this stuff in prior videos where we have the lefty, how Patrick Corbin's done versus left-handers, how he's done versus right-handers, and just picked a few really most pertinent, relevant data points that we want to have on the lineup, because you can't have everything on here, right? There's limited real estate on here, especially when you get into smaller resolutions, and certainly on the mobile version of this as well. So you don't have a whole lot of room to play with. So I picked, K rate, walk rate, ISO, and xwOBA as the four for the pitchers and hitters. So you can kind of see, the reds and pinks and the greens and light greens. Again, those are the percentile rankings, 10, 30, 70, 90, I believe it is. And those are represented in those colors as such. Now what you'll also see here is kind of up here too with the green check marks, and when the team is green here versus a red slash and the team name is in red, that denotes whether it's confirmed lineup. So if it's green, that's a confirmed lineup. If it's red, projected lineup. Kind of running through the away lineup here, we've got the Orioles, of course. We've got the batting order, of course. We've got the DraftKings. We do not have FanDuel feeding into this right now. Not sure if we'll ever make that a setting or a toggle of some sort. But for now, we have the DraftKings position, salary, the projected points, and also the projected Ks for the pitcher and their projected points up there. We've got some other icons here that denote certain things as well. So we have the ice, I guess they're icicles, the flame. So this is hot and cold. That's available over on the trends page. We can look at, you can do all the filtering and sorting as you would do throughout the rest of the site, where you can identify players that have maybe seen, an upward trajectory or downward trajectory with certain data points, certain deltas across those data points over certain time frames, where we identify like someone's kind of on a hot streak, cold streak, and we've got that denoted here as such. We also have the little moon ball, which is on the projections, if they're on the launch menu, which there's a cutoff on the launch menu, so when the projections run, it determines which guys are in the best spots for going deep that day. If they make that cut, then they get a little moon ball next to their name or next to projections here on the lineups. And then also we have, let's find one here. Over here we've got injury indicator as well. This year I do expect to have injury feed coming in. We did not have this last year. So this year I'd like to have the injuries on the lineup so that you can see if someone's day-to-day. Obviously, if they're on the IL, they're not in the lineup. But if someone's day-to-day, they're kind of banged up or something, they still might be on an injury report. I want to capture that here so you can at least see, yeah, they're in the lineup, but man, there's still a little something wrong with them. Maybe, they have a bad thumb or whatnot. So those are the indicators on each of the players here. I don't think there's anything else. I think that was the indicators for each of those. One thing that we do have last year and again this year, you don't see it here, but in my profile, you can turn on the DraftKings Sportsbook option, and then what you would see here in this section, this bar here would expand, and you would see the Sportsbook lines for that particular game, like the game line, the over under, that type of thing, the money line, the odds. So you would see that there as well, and that also does show up on the mobile version as well. All right, kind of moving through the next couple items here. So we got lineup history. Again, I mentioned this is new. This came out week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks. Hasn't been out very long. So what this is where the batter batted in the lineup. And it's got a few things in here. So let's just maybe find an example. Let's just filter out a team. We'll take the Mets, for example. Just pick one at random here. And on 9/27, so September 27th, I'll just click the header row there. It's going to sort, right? So here's all of the Mets hitters for 2022. Okay. So obviously because I sorted, there's just blanks on top, and then it's going to sort by batting order. So I've got my 1 through 9 here. Let's pick a different day. Let's go 9/28. There we go. So I got my 1 through 9. And we see all of those in dark green, and then we see a couple in light green. Now the dark greens mean that player started. The light green means that they played in the game but didn't start. And if it's empty or blank, then they weren't in the game at all. Now there's a couple things in this cell that give us some information. So we've got obviously the lineup order 1 through 9, and then in parentheses we have what hand was the starting pitcher that they faced. So they faced a left-hander and they played center field. So this guy Pete Alonso batted second. They faced a lefty to start, and he played first base, and so on. You can also click in these. So if I were to click Alonso's cell here for 9/28, click that, you get a little pop up here. So they faced Jesus Luzardo that day. It's got the game date and time, Marlins at Mets. I can also click any one of these. Okay, I can click outside of that just to get rid of it. Okay. One thing that we'll be adding to this is box scores. So once you were to click, and launch this little, this alert window, you'd have a link on here that take you directly to the box score, so you can kind of see the game as a whole for that particular day. So that'll be coming sometime this year. I'm hoping it's on the radar. Another thing we could do here is also see. Let me reset this here. Let's click reset. I'll take away my filter. I can also filter down by a player. So if I want to look at, I think this guy played for 4 teams last year. So Yu Chang played for 4 teams last year. You can easily see, where he batted during his, migration through the league. Where he kind of started off. Played 3 games the first week of the season, and then really wasn't really seen too much until a month later or so. So you can kind of see the progression or regression of where he kind of transversed the league. Same like Joey Gallo. There's his time with the Yankees and Dodgers respectively. So that's 2022, and then of course we'll have 2023 loaded in here. So we're all ready, prepared to go for Thursday, March 30th, opening day. So once Friday, March 31st rolls around, we'll have the games from the 30th loaded in, so you can see that. Now, I mentioned the injury indicator on that lineups page that we just came from. I'm going to do the same thing here too. So if a player is on the injured list for a particular day and did not play, then we can sort of make an assumption that he didn't play because of the injury. And so what I'm going to do is have that injury indicator or the injury icon, kind of plugged in here. So if there's a gap in games, you might see a series of, the injury indicator, or somewhere if there's a blank, maybe he was out because of injury. So we'll denote that there. Jumping over to the batting order metrics. So this is going to tell us, the breakdown, the advanced stats, the splits. I guess they're not really splits, but the advanced stats for each slot in the batting order per guy. So there's a few things we can do here. Let's say we want to see barrels per plate appearance. We want to see the best ones. Obviously, we want to filter some guys out. We don't want anyone that only has like 1 plate appearance. Let's. What I did here is I click that little hamburger filter thing in the header and go greater than or equals. Anybody with 75 plate appearances or more. So now I got my list down to 723 players. So what I want to do is see who has the highest barrel rate while batting fifth. And wow, Evan Longoria. I would have never guessed that. So Evan Longoria led the league with a minimum of 75 plate appearances in barrel rate from batting while batting fifth. Okay, JD Davis second, Matt Olson, and so on. You can just click through here. Here's who led the league batting fourth. Jordan Alvarez. Jordan Alvarez led the league batting third in barrel rate. Aaron Judge, and so on. Aaron Judge also leading off, led the league in barrels. Trent Grisham batting ninth. Now, another thing we can do here is I'll click reset. You can also just filter out a team. So let's say we'll look at the Twins, and I want to see who had maybe the most plate appearances while batting third for the Twins. You can do the same thing there, right? Batting fifth, who had the most? Who led off the most for Minnesota? Okay, click reset. And lastly, another thing we can do here is let's pick on Max Kepler. I know he bounced around the lineup a bit. So I just filtered out Kepler, Max Kepler's name here in the name filter drop down. And now I have his numbers filtered out for just him, so I can see where he batted in the order and what he'd do while batting in that particular order for that day, with various data points all the way down to DraftKings points for that particular slot and lineup. Hopefully that was simple, straightforward, and video was much shorter than any previous one. So thanks for listening, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thanks.